I thank the organizers. I thank the organizers of agricultural information for giving an opportunity to speak about the different aspects of paddy, which are related to the pre-harvest as well as post-harvest processing of paddy. So, coming to the paddy itself, you know that the paddy is one of the major food grain, which has been cultivated and domesticated thousands of years ago. So, so if you see here, the consumption of rice. So rice is a staple diet, and half of the world population is dependent on rice. And it serves as a major source of nutrition, energy, and it acts as a major source of food security. So if you come to the production and export of rice, so rice is in India, so it is the second largest producer of rice, as you can see. And if you come to the export, so India is the largest producer, India is the largest exporter of rice. So mainly basmati and non-basmati rice. So there are various ways in which rice is consumed. As you can see here, so there are various varieties of rice. So it may be, we call it as pigmented rice, which is in red color, or it may be the basmati rice, so which is very known for its aroma and texture and the length. And you have major varieties from the South India, which are short in nature. So based on the cuisine and based on the consumer requirements, the cultivation and the production of rice varies. So before coming to the post-harvest processing, just we will have an overall look on the pre-harvest processing. So if you see the pre-harvest processing scenario, so there are various aspects of paddy cultivation itself. So here the major thing is the seed treatment or the selection of seed. So what kind of seed you are choosing, and based on the geographical area, the selection of the seed varies. So because it has to match with the climatic conditions for better yield and disease resistance, pest resistance, and for the maximum utilization of the area. So the major first part in cultivation comes is the selection of the land. So the land where the paddy is cultivated, so it has to be prepared. So the preparation involves the puddling, leveling, and loosening the surface sand or mud so that it can be easily accessed for the roots for germination. So there are various ways in which you can cultivate the paddy, starting from the directly growing the means for after germination, you can directly go for broadcasting. That means the seeds are directly dispersed on the fields, or you can go for nursery, where for a short period of time, so the seedlings are germinated, and for a short period of time, they are kept in a controlled condition where all the seeds are developed at a single stage, and then they will be transplanted in the area. So there are various ways and advantages also. So there are few advantages of broadcasting method, and there are advantages with the nursery method. So the major advantage with the broadcasting method is if the person is expertise in the broadcasting method. So you can have the maximum area covered. Whereas if the person is not skilled in the art, so you may lose the yield. Whereas if you come to the nursery, so here what happens? So there is a predetermined space for each sapling so that the plant gets the maximum water, maximum sunlight, and the required minerals and the essential requirements for the plant to grow. So majorly we practice the nursery method for cultivation. So, and you know that once the plant progresses during its uh, growth stage, so we require various fertilizers, NPK, And the duration of the growth or the total span of the paddy cultivation so varies between 40 to 50 days in an average. And periodically the uh, fertilizer is applied to the area and the pesticides because you know that the paddy has very major pests and diseases. So to overcome that, we apply the pesticides. So next, so selection of paddy for cultivation is very important. So here you can see the good quality seed. So we'll have the maximum good growth. Like we can tell that around 99% of the seeds are uh, are capable of germination. Whereas if you go for seeds which have been stored for some reasons and it has not been maintained properly during storage, so there the germination rate falls down. So it may be like 75 to 80%. So that will impede the yield of the farmer. So the selection of paddy during cultivation is very important. So moving to the growth stages. So here you can see, so there are various stages. So we classify them as germination phase that is around 2 to 3 days for the sprouts to come. And we have the vegetative phase where there is maximum growth of the tillers. That means the leaves and the maximum utilization of the nutrients and water for the uh, crop to grow. So that will range between 50 to 60 days. And then we have the important phase called the reproductive phase, where the flowering happens. So it is a duration of 30 days. And this reproductive stage or the flowering is very important for the seeds to set. So that is very important. And once the seed is set, so it will take around 30 days for this after flowering for the seeds to mature. So once the seed is matured, so it is ready for harvest. So based on the farmer's requirement, so the harvesting time varies and the moisture at which the farmer goes for harvesting is around 18 to 20% of moisture of the seed. So here you can see the production of different states in India. So we have different areas starting from West Bengal till Madhya Pradesh. So based on the area, the cultivation practice vary as well as the variety of choice varies. So there are majorly two seasons. So one is the Kharif and one is the Rabi. So these are the two production phases in throughout the year, and it depends entirely on the area. Few areas they only prefer Kharif, so which is dependent on the rain. And here in Kharif we will get the maximum yield and the productivity is maximum in the Kharif season. So whereas if you come to Rabi, few areas cultivate paddy during the Rabi season. That is mainly in the winter season. But the production or the yield of the paddy will be lesser when compared to the Kharif season. Because Kharif season, so you have ample rain which is falling and you have the best condition for the paddy to grow. So the Kharif season is majorly the area where we get the maximum crop yield or the production. So after this post-harvest processing, so we will move on to the, sorry, after the pre-harvest processing, we will move on to the post-harvest processing, which involves various phases by which the uh, paddy, which has been cultivated, will be harvested. So there are various ways in which the harvesting occurs. So you can go for manual harvesting or we can use machines. So nowadays we are using combined harvesters so that we can harvest maximum area. So without the limitation of time or what do you call the manpower. So to overcome these problems, we have come up with the combined harvesters. So it can cover large areas without the much of the human intervention. So these are the stages the rice post-harvest technology stages. So here, after harvesting, the it is sent for thrashing. So thrashing where the stack is separated from the grain. So once the grains get separated, it is sent for drying because, as I told, the paddy moisture will be high. That means around 18 to 20%. So what we have to do is we have to bring down the moisture to the safer limits for storage or for processing. So the safer limits for storage or processing is 12%. So from 18 to 20%, so we have to bring down the moisture to 12%. So this can be accomplished by manual methods or by using modern machines. Then after drying, it is sent for cleaning. Then after cleaning, it is sent for milling because as such, paddy is non-edible. So we have to mill it. That means we have to remove the layers of the outer layers of the paddy so that we can make it edible. Then it is graded. Then it is stored for a definite period of time. And then it is sent for packaging. And then it is sent for marketing. And then from the market, it is distributed to the local consumers. And then it is the cycle completes. So there are, as I told, there are various methods by which we can do the harvesting, but the maximum yield of the harvest comes from the combined harvesters because it can cover large areas without any problem with the paddy infrastructure. So then comes the thrashing. So thrashing can be done manually or by using machines. So the here what happens is the combined harvester can harvest the paddy as well as thrash the paddy, and then it will segregate the hay from the grains. And then the next part, as I told, drying. So drying is a critical step where the moisture which is excess in the grain is removed. So usually in the rural areas, what they do, they go for sun drying. So sun drying has its own advantages, but maximum it has disadvantages. So the disadvantages of sun drying is it will take a lot of time, and second thing is there may be chances of development of cracks within the grain due to the harsh conditions. So usually we recommend the mechanical drying rather than the sun drying methods. And then after drying, so the paddy has to be cleaned because in the paddy which is harvested, there are a lot of foreign materials, which may include mud particles, stone, plastic items, glass pieces, or it may be the seeds of different other varieties of plants, and then hay, then sticks. So these has to be removed before the processing or before the milling. So that will enhance the quality of the machines which come after this cleaning process. So this is a very critical step in the post-harvest processing of paddy. Then you have the storage. So once the dried paddy is cleaned, then it is sent for storage for a brief period of time. So here usually there are three ways in which it can be accomplished by using traditional method in gunny bags, or it can be stored in silos, or it can be directly sent for the warehouse where it can be stored in the advanced storage methods. So we will talk about the advanced storage methods in the upcoming slides. So after this storage, so the next aspect in the processing is the milling. So milling, as I told, it is the removal of the outer layers of the paddy. So the paddy majorly contains multiple layers. That means the outermost inedible layer is the husk. So the husk will be around 20%. Then the inside of the husk is the bran layer. So this is a very important layer which has a maximum nutritional value. So as such, we can't consume the brown rice without the processing. So what we have to do is we have to remove the bran. So bran accounts for about 8 to 10%. So once we remove the second layer, that is the bran, so we will get the white rice. So the white rice mainly contains starch, or we call it as endosperm. So more the milling, more is the eating quality, but vice versa. So more the milling, less is the nutritional profile. So we have to balance out between the milling so that we will have the optimum milling for maximum benefit of nutrients which are present in the bran. So this is the conventional milling method where the milling is accomplished by using mortar and pestle. And then next method is one stage milling where the husk and the bran are removed together. So that is called as one stage milling. So we have one more milling process called as two stage milling. That means there are two stages by which the milling process occurs. So one is the removal of husk. So that is the one stage, and then removal of bran. So these two removal of husk and the bran occur separately. That is why it is called as two-stage milling. So this is generally practiced in conventional methods. Whereas in the advanced methods, we have various stages by which the milling process is carried out. So we will go in detail about that one by one. So coming to the grain dimension, so this is very important. So the dimension of the grain is restricted to the variety. So each variety has its own dimension, mainly the length, width, and aspect ratio. And there are various ways in which it can be detected by manual methods or by machines as well. Next, coming to the nutritional composition of the rice. So rice contains various micro as well as uh, major nutrients, majorly as micro and macronutrients. So you have a mixed composition of both micro as well as macronutrients. So here, if you see, the carbohydrates is a major contributor in the grain, which is about 60 to 70%. Then comes the proteins, which is about 6%. Fat is around 8%, and with vitamins, minerals, and fibers will be in the trace quantities. And there are other phytochemicals as well. So if you see the colored rice or the pigmented rice, you have the color naturally which is present in the grain. So the major phytochemical are the anthocyanins which are there in the grain. Or you can, we have so many other compounds, colored pigments, which are there in the grain, which impart color to the rice. But nutritionally, uh, without removing the bran, if you consume, that is very good for health, as we have the fibers, as we have the proteins, as we have the fats, vitamins, and minerals, which are embedded in the bran layer, which when we consume, it adds health to our diet. So we have to minimally polish the grain before consumption. So now, what is this digital revolution? So why it is required? And what is the scope of APIT, our company? So here, coming to our organization, so APIT is Agri Process Innovation Technologies. So here we provide the solutions for paddy processing. So from post-harvest processing, whatever we saw, so it may be the preconditioning, or it may be the drying, or it may be the processing, or it may be the storage. So where the automation comes into picture, because you know that nowadays there is a lot of production, but there is lack of storage. So due to that, we are losing a lot of our valuable food grains. So to overcome that, we want to have digital revolution, where this digital revolution will reduce the wastage of the paddy which has been harvested, or the which has been produced. So here we are majorly concentrating on the paddy processing, that too in the post-harvest processing of paddy. So majorly we have three types of rice which is available in the market. So one is the raw rice, second one is the steamed rice, and third one is the parboiled rice. So the consumption of these three types of rice varies from region to region, and based on the geographical area as well. So if you see the consumption of raw rice, so raw rice is processed. So once the harvesting is done, so the paddy is stored at least for 6 months to 1 year, and then it is subjected for milling. So that will be called as the raw rice. Whereas the paddy after harvest, if it is steamed, or if it is subjected for hydrothermal treatment by steaming, then we will get the product called as the steam rice. Whereas if you soak the paddy and then steam it or cook it, then you dry and mill it. So this is called as parboiled rice. If you see the coastal areas, so they are majorly dependent on the parboiled rice. Whereas if you take North India, so they are dependent on long basmati or non-basmati varieties. And if you take Central or South India, so they are majorly dependent on the varieties which are we call it as the small varieties like HMT, BPT, JSR. So these are the various ways in which the rice or the paddy is processed. So here the major challenge in these three processes is the scalability. So we are accounting for that, and we give expertise solutions for drying. So it may be the harvest drying or the process drying or the processing of parboiled rice or the aged rice. So as I told, so the paddy should be aged for at least 6 months to 1 year. So that will add more nutritional value, more shelf life, and it will improve the eating quality of rice. So wherever the post-harvest comes, we include automation where it will be very handy and we can reduce the manual interference. So here you can see by traditional methods, we are storing the paddy and then we are going to mill it to produce the raw rice. But the challenges in this, especially, so there is unprecedented or the circumstances where suddenly we may get the rain or the climate will be hit when we expose this paddy to the adverse environmental conditions. And if you take the challenges when it is kept outside, so what happens is, so we have to invest on the labor and there is a lot of time involved. Yeah, so if we can imagine 6 months to 1 year, we have to keep the paddy in a definite place. So without infestation or without the environmental factors getting in, so that will be more challenging. So what we are doing is we can overcome this traditional or conventional method with the advanced technology where we can go for super aging. That means instead of waiting for 6 months to 1 year, what we can do is we can do a treatment where we can convert this freshly harvested paddy into 1 year old paddy in matter of 24 hours. So that is the technology, the advanced technology what we are giving at APIT, and this adds more value for the farmers because so they can't invest on the storage, so they can directly bring the harvested paddy to the rice mill, nearest rice mill, and we convert that freshly harvested paddy into 1 year old paddy within the matter of 24 hours. So that adds more value to the paddy chain, paddy process chain. And here you can see, so these are some of the technologies by which, these are some of the modern technologies by which we can drastically reduce the time and we can reduce the human interference where we can have more clarity on the process. So here if you see, we have the super aging technology, as I told, so that will drastically reduce the storage time. So 365 days to 1 day. So here we have modern equipments by which it can be run on a continuous mode. That means instead of doing in batches, we can go for a continuous process. So for example, 50 tons per day or 10 tons per batch like that, or 10 tons per hour. So we can scale down till the hours. So that is the major specialty of the process. And next comes the parboiling. So as I told, parboiling is a process where we soak the paddy and then we go for cooking it. So this is majorly done to improve the milling properties. That means to reduce the brokens and to get the maximum nutrients out of the grain. So this also is done traditionally. So to overcome the traditional or conventional methods, what we have come up with, we have come up with online system where you can process this same parboiling process so in a continuous manner. That means without wasting much of the time in batch process. So this can be accomplished directly by an online process where if the paddy is stored in bunkers, so directly it can be fed to the system and continuously you can take the processed paddy in terms of hours, capacity in terms of hours. That means 5 tons to 30 tons or 50 tons uh, based on the requirement. So most of the process what the present industry requires is the automation and a continuous process. So here we have a continuous automation system and which is backed by AI and ML. So these two are very important tools to predict and to control the process as well. So here this comes very handy in saving the resources. So you know that if we are going for the post-harvest processing, so there are requirements of external factors such as electricity, steam, manpower. So this can be modulated majorly by the use of automation, AI, and ML. So this will be the game changer in the industry, and this is need of the hour because, as you know, India is the largest, second largest producer of paddy. So to have a balance with the cultivation of the production, we should have the post processing also. So if we are lagging in the post processing, what happens? The production can't be matched with the supply. So to overcome that, so this technology is very important, and we should have the process where it is very handy and at the same time everything is online so that we can visualize everything on the screen and we can control with the touch of a button. So that is need of the power. So here you can see the advanced processing systems which are used for post-harvest processing of paddy involving various types of equipments or the systems. So here if you see we have the drying system as well. So drying system also we have both batch wise and continuous systems. So this drying is very crucial after the harvest also for drying of the harvested paddy. So to bring the paddy moisture to the safer limits and after the process also. For example, if we are doing the steaming, super aging or parboiling, so the moisture will be high after the process. So once again, we have to reduce this moisture to the safer limits of 12% before storage or before milling. So this can be accomplished in batch-wise or continuous process on a large scale. That means around 50 tons per batch or 60 tons per batch or 10 tons per hour. In that scale, we have to do that to balance with the production. So coming to the commercial milling, so previously we saw the conventional methods. Whereas if you come to the commercial milling, so here also there are various stages by which the milling is done. So not only one part by means removing of the husk and removing of the bran. So this paddy passes through different stages. We call it as dehusking and whitening. So this dehusking. So what we do is once the process is completed or there are two ways in which we can do it. Either if it is a harvested paddy or if it is a processed paddy. So for both of the process, we have different parameters set. So if you want to go with the harvested paddy, we have to go with the pre-cleaners. That means we have to remove all the unwanted material, foreign materials from the paddy. And then we have to remove the husk, which is called as dehusking. So by removing the husk, we will get the brown rice. So the brown rice is further subjected for whitener. That means we remove the bran layer. So this whitener will be maybe one stage or two stages, and in between we will remove the we will remove the stones as well if there is any stones which is present in the lot. So we after whitening, so we will remove the bran layers. So it ranges between 8 to 12%. So based on the customer requirement or based on the rice miller requirements, we go for whitening. That means removal of the bran, and then we go for sifting. That means we grade the polished or the white rice, and then we subject it for one more set of polishing, which is called as a mist polishing, where nowadays if you see the rice in the market, we have a shiny appearance. So that is due to the mist polisher. So that is majorly for trading aspect. And then once again we go for the length grader, and then we separate the head rice from the brokens. So less the brokens, more is the yield for the rice miller. So the optimum milling should be in such a way that we should get the least brokens. That means we call it as head rice recovery. So how much of head rice has been recovered from the lot during the milling process. So that is very important. And this can be controlled by our process of super aging, steaming, and parboiling as well. So, for example, if we are getting higher brokens in the harvested paddy or the raw paddy, so we can minimize or we can reduce the broken percentage. For example, in the harvested paddy, if we are getting around 18 to 20% of brokens, so we can reduce it to around 5 to 8% by using our processing systems, mainly super aging, steaming, or parboiling. So this process drastically reduce the broken percentage, and this will add more value to the rice miller. So these are some of the technology patents what we have got. And not only the systems or the machines, we should have the advanced automation systems. So this advanced automation systems, what they do is they predict. So they will be helping the chain of the ecosystem. So the farming ecosystem mainly includes the farmer, the processor, the end consumer, and the environment. So these four things are kept together during the automation, or we call it as AI or IoT technology. So where the farmer can get the information of the rainfall or the conditions of the soil or the environmental conditions. So based on the inputs from the advanced automation systems or IoT or smart farming systems, he can get more insights and he can have better yield in his farm. So nowadays we are getting the online systems through satellites, and we have monitoring system through drones also. So this will add more information for the cultivation as well as production of paddy. So here we have predictive and AI tools for farming. So which also includes few gadgets which are very handy and which give the in-depth knowledge or in-depth studies on the criteria of soil as well as the plants which we cultivate. And we have systems where now we can grow a paddy in the indoor conditions as well. So till a few years back, it was cultivated only in the outdoors. But nowadays we have provision where we can cultivate the paddy indoors with controlled conditions. So that is the future technology. And we have assistance of uh, robotics in grain harvesting. So instead of manual interference, so robots can visualize, and it can harvest so by itself. So no need of manual interference. So this is the next future technology where there is scarcity of manpower. So where we can utilize this robotics technology. So by this, what we can achieve is we can achieve the maximum out of the production. That means we don't want to waste the resources. At the same time, we want to have maximum utilization of the existing automation systems, so which can benefit the human. And we have sustainability initiatives. That means we can restrict the use of resources. It may be the steam, or nowadays you know that there is a scope for less utilization of water, is or judicial utilization of water. So here the automation plays a major role, because how much the quantity of water or steam or the electricity is required, that much only is used. So we can cut down the unwanted wastage of resources. So this is major advantage, and eco-friendly methodologies can also be implemented. So one of the initiatives where we are stepping in is we are utilizing the least water for parboiling. Usually the parboiling requires a lot of water. That means around 1 is to 1.3 times water is required in a conventional method. Whereas by our technology, what we are doing is we are using only 20 to 30% of the water for this process. So this majorly saves water. That means around 70 to 80% of water is saved. So if we take in terms of the annual usage, so it will be in lakh liters. So this is the scope what we have got from using advanced automation technologies. And it is very much eco-friendly as well. So there are various predictive analysis where we can improve the efficiency of the system and for reducing the waste. and judicially involving the management. So we have a smart packaging technology, which is very essential because until and unless the product is inert within the packet, so the shelf life of the grain is saved. So once the packaging material is not up to the mark, so what happens is, though you have done the processing neatly, the product shelf life will be lost. So in this direction, you should have a very advanced packaging system which can take the quality of the food. That means the chemical composition of the food into account. So that based on the product, we can decide the packaging material for the maximum utilization of the shelf life or the health of the seed which has variety or the product which has been packaged. So this is very important aspect. So this has to be kept in mind. So packaging plays a very crucial role. So this digital revolution is very essential for the upcoming production of any grain for that matter, but particularly paddy in our case. So by using this advanced automation systems, AI and ML technologies, and involving the uh, systems where they can go with the continuous or batch-wise process. So we can have higher efficiency in the uh, uh, industry, and we can have better quality assurance because there is very less manual interference. So this provides better quality assurance. And by implementing automation and better quality assurance, we can have better marketing opportunity because as it is fully automated, the system or the product will be same across the batches. That means you can have the same quality uh, year on year. So that makes the better opportunity in the market because most of the time what happens, so if you are not consistent with the product quality, so your place in the market gets down. So if you have automation installed in your system, so this will add more value to your marketing skills. So next comes the food safety and security. So as this is an automated system which has been incorporated in the upcoming areas of food processing, especially paddy processing. So the hygiene is taken care. That means less the manual interference, more is the hygienic factor. So hygiene is very important in any food product preparation. So this is taken care. So to sum up, so there are various ways in which the paddy can be handled during the post-harvest processing, but there are ways, the better ways in which the automation system or the system which can handle the continuous production as well as the packaging will enhance the utilization of resource for the humankind. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Pradeep, for the detailed presentation. So I'll take up
Thank you,
some
madam.
few questions. Before I take the questions, let me check. Okay, Mr. Nayan has left. So I'll take up some questions. Okay. So what is the first step in post-harvest processing of paddy?
Yeah, the first step or the final step of the pre-harvest processing is the first step. That means harvesting is the first step.
And why is drying paddy immediately after harvest important?
Yes, as I told, so the farmer can't harvest when the moisture is 12%. So though we tell that the safer limit for the storage or the process is 12%, the farmer usually harvests the paddy at 18 to 20%. So at this condition, so what happens once the harvesting is done? So if he doesn't dry it, what happens? So there may be damages to the paddy by microorganisms or it can get infested. So to overcome that, we have to go for drying. That means we had to reduce the moisture of the paddy from 18 to 12%.
Okay. And what are the optimal moisture levels for paddy rice during harvest, post-harvest drying?
Post-harvest?
I'll repeat. What are the optimal moisture levels for paddy rice during post-harvest drying?
So initially the moisture will be around 18 to 20%. So that will be reduced to around 12 to 13%. So that is the safer limits. So 12 to 13 is the optimum moisture.
Okay. And what are the common methods used for drying paddy?
Yes, so there are two to three ways. One is the conventional method or the rural method where they go for drying in the sun. So we call it as sun drying. So that is usually a no-no because there may be chances of development of cracks by the harsh radiations by the sun or the heat. So other way is the controlled or in-house drying. So in in-house drying, there are various ways in which you can do it. So you can have the dryer which is installed. So where the hot air is blown from one side and periodically the moisture is removed from the surface of the paddy so that we can achieve the optimum drying conditions. And in
Okay.
the advanced methods, we have the continuous drying. That means here there will be multiple dryers. So the paddy passes through multiple dryers in a continuous mode. So there is the major difference between batch wise and continuous is here in batch wise. So the paddy is restricted in a particular dryer for 8 to 12 hours. Whereas in a continuous mode, so the paddy moves from dryer 1 to dryer 3 at different stages in a continuous mode. So during this travel itself, the drying is achieved. And this adds more productivity for the plant.
Okay. And how does moisture content affect the quality and storage of the paddy?
Yes, so moisture is very crucial. As you know, so where there is moisture, so there is development of the microorganisms because not only the moisture itself. So why this moisture is very crucial is so after you harvest it, usually you go for storing it. So you store in a place where these paddy are stacked one above the other or they are stacked in groups. So here what happens when there is moisture, so over a period of time, there is development of heat and the microorganisms flourish in that kind of moisture environment and this will enhance the contamination of the paddy due to the moisture and temperature this one arrangement.
Okay. And what are the benefits of using mechanical dryers over sun drying for paddy?
Yes, so first and foremost thing is the productivity or the batch capacity what you get because sun drying means you had to go at least for 1 or 2 weeks. Every day you had to means during the appearance of the sun or the morning till evening you had to keep and every day you had to remove it and then place it. So this is a tedious job. So it is labor intensive. So second thing is, as I told, we can't guarantee the quality of the paddy. That means there may be chances that the paddy gets broken percentage more when compared to the mechanical or machines. So you can have better productivity by mechanical means rather than the conventional means.
Okay. And what is the purpose of cleaning paddy after drying?
Yes, as I told, see nowadays, as I told, we have a lot of automation which is built in the system. So what happens? Automation means we rely on sensors. So there are so many sensors which are there in the machine system. So what happens if the paddy is not clean? So think that there are stones or stakes or plastic items, metal pieces. So this will what do you call damage the sensors and the internal parts of the machines or the systems. So this will impede the productivity. So to overcome that, we have the cleaning systems installed at regular intervals.
Okay. And how is paddy stored to prevent infestation and spoilage?
Yes. So first and foremost thing is the control on moisture and then the humidity of the environment where it has been stored. So relative humidity and moisture are the crucial things. And usually what they do, nowadays they store in silos. So here the silo environment is such that it is controlled automatically. That means if the paddy is stored for more period of time, so what they do, they go for mixing the paddy at regular intervals so that there is no formation of heat inside the uh, basal layer of the storage. So they will overcome by using some of the advanced systems where they can predict the moisture and RH activity of the paddy, and thereby they can give the required solutions.
Okay. And what role do temperature and humidity control play in the storage of paddy?
Yes, definitely. As I told, so these two are very important because what happens, more the moisture, what happens, it gets accumulated in pockets. So this will slowly add a micro environment for the microbes for growth. So what we need to do is we have to restrict the moisture buildup and the temperature gain within the small pockets of paddy. So to overcome that, what we do, regularly we mix the paddy from top to bottom so that this accumulation of heat or the moisture buildup is reduced.
And what are the common pests that affect stored paddy and how they can be controlled?
Okay, majorly what happens is this common pest. So we can see in our household also, we have the black bugs which come, and we have the crawling white larvae. So this majorly comes when you don't directly dry the paddy after the harvest. So if you have the paddy after harvest which is not completely dried to the safer limits, or if the paddy is harvested in an unappropriate way, that means whether if the paddy is not mature enough and then you go for harvesting. So there what happens, there is a environment within the seed that will add more insect infestation.
Okay. And uh, could you discuss the advantages and disadvantages of different types of paddy storage facilities? You
Yes,
must have given, you can just put in points.
yes. So conventionally till today they go for gunny bag storage. So that is one of the methods. And we have one of the inert material which is used, which is a synthetic material. So we call it as LDP, the thermoplastic kind of a thing. So that is very inert and that can be used for storage. And if you want to storage in large quantity, directly you can go for silos.
Okay. And how does the milling process affect the quality and nutritional value of rice?
Yes. So this is very important topic. So here what happens? So the milling is very crucial. So the edible portion of the grain is the brown rice. That means once you remove the husk, so then it is good for consumption. But the thing is, there is disadvantage with the brown rice. So brown rice contains the bran on the outer layer, and we have the starch or the endosperm inside. So directly you can't consume the brown rice due to the eating quality. That means it will take long time to cook, and it will not match with the curry what we eat. So to improve the eating quality, what we do, we go for removing the bran, that is called as whitening. So more the whitening or more the removal of bran, better is the eating quality. And more the milling, what happens, that will remove the bran. That means indirectly you are removing all the nutrients. So the grain will be good for eating, but nutrients will be lost. So the better thing what we can do is we can go for optimum milling. That means instead of milling completely the bran, we can restrict for 3% or 4% so that the portion of bran which is left, it will add more value to our diet.
Okay. 1 second. Okay, Mr. Pradeep, I don't see any more questions. So now we have come to end of question round. On behalf of agricultureinformation.com, we'd like to thank you for a very detailed presentation and on answering all the questions in depth. And we also like to thank our editorial team for sharing these questions and also some of the participants who have listened to the recording, to the talk. So we'll end this meeting now. Have a good evening.
Same here.
Thank you.